"I'm not in the mood for having sex right now" is probably one of the most blue balling phrases that you're ever going to hear coming from your girl. Because the worst part is that she doesn't say this when it's actually a bad moment for having sex. She's going to say that in a moment of high sexual tension for you, and maybe even for her as well. You guys are alone, there has been some foreplay already, and maybe you guys already have been making out for minutes, but she's not in the mood. As we're gentlemen, we respect that and give her space. That's okay. But anytime that it happens, it's super frustrating. Blue balls aside, it feels like there's something wrong in it. But because we don't want to be like pushy or come as a rapist, we just let them be. What if I tell you that the reason of why you fear that there's something wrong is because there's actually something wrong? And I know that because I already went through it. A long time ago, I was in a situation with a girl. With that, I mean that we weren't formally in a relationship, but we were having sex, dating from time to time, and there was a pretty good connection in there. Or at least that's what I like to think. And at the beginning of this interaction, sex was super hype. We were making it anytime that we were together, and even in some risky places. So it was weird the first time when I heard from that girl the phrase of, "I'm not in the mood for having sex right now." I just didn't pay attention because I thought that she was saying the truth. But this kept happening over and over again until one day she told me that we should just stop. And that was really heartbreaking because I was looking forward for our relationship, but also because there was a big attachment coming from all the sex we had. I couldn't understand why she was acting like this, but I thought it was normal. Maybe she needed some time by herself, or as a lot of people say it, women are just not as sexual as men. So after that initial hype, it's normal for things to calm down. That's what I thought, but weeks later I find out that this girl has been having sex with an ex-guy for who she has a lot of sexual attraction and energy. And there's when I realized that the problem wasn't her sexual energy or that she wasn't in the mood. The problem was me. And after having a couple of experiences similar to this one, luckily, I discovered how to fix this, but most important, how to avoid it in the first place. And that's what I want to share with you today. First of all, if you don't know me, my name is Jesus Noya. I'm a Venezuelan sex coach with the goal of helping men to last longer in bed, become sexually dominant, and be more attractive. All this while avoiding the deadly mistakes that I made through my sex life. This comes from my years of experience dating in South America. It's really shocking how an innocent phrase as "I'm not in the mood for having sex right now" can have so much potential for damaging a relationship. But for the guys that have experience with women, you know that that's how it usually goes. Sometimes the small things are actually telling us about a bigger problem. And the main mistake for us as men is not paying attention enough to these signs. That's why most of the time you have to look beyond her words. Don't pay that much attention to the content of the words, but more to the context. Why is she saying that? Where's that coming from? How does she feel in the moment that she's saying this? Following that, there are three main things of why your girl can say something like this, of why your woman doesn't want to have sex anymore with you. The first thing is your sexual skills, and I know this can be really hurtful to hear because we as men have a lot of pride in our sexual performance and how we give pleasure to a woman, and when we're not accomplishing that properly, it's like we feel less of a man. However, the first step to fixing something is realizing that there's something wrong there. And even if you may think that this is not the case for you, I would actually challenge you to think about it twice, because I would say that probably 80% of men in the whole world don't actually know how to have sex properly. I don't know the right statistics, and I don't think we're gonna have it because these sexual studies are usually very biased.
Levi Cohen, Cat's Garfunkel.
Ya es número uno en los rankings de la colectividad.
But it's not crazy, right? When you think about it, most men in the world are not even attractive for women physically. They're like fat and ugly and not take care of their bodies at all. And even being like that, a bunch of those guys are in relationships. One of the things that can be a big turn off for your girl when it comes to having sex is the duration. Basically, how much you're able to last during sex before ejaculating. There's not like a specific time for when it's satisfactory. You can have great sex in only 3 to 5 minutes, or very lame sex for 20 or 30 minutes. However, if your girl wants to keep going on and you finish before that, it's always going to be lame. And this is something very common. Most men don't know at all how to control their ejaculation. They just have a threshold that no matter how hard they try, they can't just get past through it. They just start to be efficient in whatever is the time. The big problem is that with women it doesn't work like that. Even if you make a girl come, like have an orgasm in less than 5 minutes, but she wants to keep going on and you can't, she's still going to remember that as it was lame, as it was frustrating for her. And if this keeps happening over and over again, that frustration is going to build up to the point where she just doesn't want to have sex anymore because she knows that she's going to be frustrated. This used to be one of my biggest problems before. So to avoid this, you have to work on being able to control your ejaculation. It's gonna be very hard at the beginning, but eventually you're gonna have way more control on it. And just having this skill is going to put you in the top sex performers of the world. I'm not even exaggerating. It's very weird that a man knows how to control his ejaculation. If you're interested in learning this skill and accelerate the process for you to become a dominant masculine lover, you can go and click the link in the description right now, and there's going to be the program where I teach you the step-by-step method to achieve this. It's still the price that it is right now, so go and check it. The second thing around your sexual skills is your intensity. If you're going too soft and slow all the time, even if you think that your girl might like this because it's more romantic or she like it gentle or whatever it could be, believe me that that's not the case. Most women, no exception, doesn't matter her background, how big or small she is, her race, her religion, her beliefs, all women are always going to prefer making love with a man that can display this masculine, powerful and wild energy. A man that can clap her cheeks properly. I met a girl one time that was dating two guys. The first guy seemed like the whole package. He was handsome, coming from a good family, he had a lot of money, he was very respectful, good values, basically everything that you could think of a good man. But in the way that she described it, he was like too soft during sex, like too average, you know, like just normal. The second guy was basically a waste of oxygen for the world. A guy that has living with his mom, he was broke, he was super ugly, he wasn't even in shape. So it was really weird seeing this girl with that guy, especially having a boyfriend as the first one. But, and this is coming from the girl directly, that guy really knew how to have sex. That was basically the only thing that kept her attached to him. And the kind of sex that they were having was more of like this animalistic, wild, and aggressive kind of sex. And having that was worth it enough for this girl to risk all the relationship with the other guy. So you really don't want to be the first guy. You don't want to be working so hard for your woman, for being a good man for her, and then seeing her lose attraction for you because you don't know how to have sex in an intense, powerful way. My recommendation for you is ditching out the mentality of low and soft vanilla sex. There are moments for that and that's okay, but most of the time you want to head towards that intense, powerful and animalistic energy. And don't even be scared about it. You would be surprised with how much girls can take. A next part of your sexual skills is the connection that you have with your girl. Sex is not only about the physical part, but also about the spiritual and the mental part. Actually, I would say that it's even more in that part. And if you lack in the connection that you have with her, that's also a big reason for her to not enjoy sex and eventually not wanting to have it at all. If you treat her like a whore, like a cum hole, like you don't have any kind of love or feelings for her, even if you're great in the department of the sexual skills, that's going to die eventually anyway. Because even if she feels great and sexually satisfied, there's gonna be a point where she's gonna get fed up of that. She's gonna want something deeper, some kind of connection and real love in there. That is something that you cannot take out of sex. When this voice inside of her, that is inside of you as well, starts to tell her with enough volume that there's no connection in here, that there's no love, she's going to feel bad about it. And when this happens, it's going to be game over. There's nothing to do about it. So please, only have sex with your wife, with someone that you know that is going to be in a long-term relationship that you're going to be for the rest of your life. Alright, the second big reason of why your girl may not want to have sex with you is because you did something to her that is still in her mind. When I used to live in the Caribbean, there was a black girl that I was dating, and sex at the beginning was super high. She had the body of a model and there was a lot of sexual tension between us. However, one day I was being more stupid than usual. I wasn't really stupid enough for having sex with a girl that I wasn't married with, but this day I went beyond that because I ended up having a scared pregnancy with this girl. At the beginning I was taking it as a joke, like it wasn't going to happen, like I was laughing about it, and then I made a joke that if the baby was of my color, we could keep it and we could marry and everything was going to be great. But if the baby was black, then I would either sell it or chop it in half. I just want to say that I'm not racist, right? I like black girls. But I made that joke in the moment. She laughed and looked at me like being surprised, and I was laughing more, and she was like, you know, like looking shocked. I took it as a joke. But after that moment, sex ended up just going down and down. There was another reasons for this, but she never forgot that joke. She told this to her friends, to my friends, and we always laugh about it. But now I realized that she was feeling kinda hurt by it. And as I didn't address the situation properly, it ended up affecting our sex interactions as well. So if you said something stupid, harmful, disrespectful, or something that you know that may be affecting her, maybe it's worth it to think about it and have a conversation on it. And don't worry about which one could could be that phrase because you will know it, right? Gears will make it very obvious for you. Most of the time it's going to be something that's going to make them insecure about themselves. They may not act like hateful towards you, but it's more like she doesn't feel secure of having sex with you anymore. The second thing is your word. If you lack in your word, in the things that you promised to her, it's going to make you come across someone that is not trustworthy. If she sees you lacking on your word, she's going to see you less of a man. That's going to turn her down a lot because one of the most masculine traits is sticking to her word. And the same happens with the next point, that is lacking on your responsibilities. If you're lacking in your responsibilities as a man, as a father, as a husband, in her mind she's going to even feel guilty of having sex with you. She's gonna think unconsciously like you don't deserve this, you don't deserve to be with her because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Even if she tries to ignore it, it's going to bother her a lot. And when it comes to the time of having sex with you, it's going to be some repulsion in there. So this is the second part. You do something that is still in her mind or that is affecting her. And the last third big reason of why she may not want to have sex with you anymore is because probably the relationship is dying. There's a lot of reasons of why a relationship can start dying. The things that I mentioned before are going to play a role in that. However, there are some things in the root that even if everything is great, with time they're going to come up. And one of the ways that they're going to manifest is in her sexual mood with you. This is what I call incompatibility. Just being with someone that you know is not going to be there for the rest of your life. Whatever it could be the reason. At the beginning, you can ignore these parts. Sex can be great and be a lot of hype, and there's a lot of emotion attached to this whole relationship because of novelty. But eventually, reality comes up. After that period of novelty is gone, she already knows you, you guys have been having sex for a while, you guys have dated, went out and spent a lot of time with each other. These incompatibilities are going to be shown stronger and stronger because the more time that you spend with her, the more she has the opportunity to see these things in you. This could be your values, your views of the world, your goals, or even the physical taste. For example, and this is something that happened to me, but I imagine that something similar may happen to women. There has been years that sex was great with them. They had a nice body and everything, but just because of the face, I wasn't enjoying sex as much. It's like they weren't as attractive for me in the face. And after a couple of weeks, I wasn't enjoying sex as much anymore. And this is something that you cannot change once you are in a relationship. It's not a matter of what you can do, it's just a matter of incompatibility, as I just said. She wasn't meant to be with you and you weren't meant to be with her. That's why to avoid this, so you can save you a lot of BS, broken relationships, and heartbreak, it's better to only build relationships with someone that you know is worth it. To build relationships with someone that is compatible with you and that has the potential to be your wife, to be someone that you're gonna be with for the rest of your life. Alright, with this would be all the 3 big reasons of why your gear doesn't want to have sex with you anymore. That usually comes in the face of, I'm not in the mood for having sex right now. A last thing that I would like to say is that in your relationship, in order to deal with all this, whatever is the problem, love is always going to be the main anchor. The love that you have for her and the love that she has for you. Whatever is the problem that you're facing right now, you're gonna be able to fix it eventually if there's a real relationship built in the eyes of God. If love is not there, then the situation is going to happen sooner or later. But with the right attitude, the right mindset, if you really take action in the recommendations that I just said, then your gear is going to be the one initiating sex most of the time. Especially if you work in the part of the sexual skills, because you're going to be like the best sex that she has ever experienced. And remember that if you want to accelerate the process for you to become a top sex performer and have the best sex of your life, you can go and click the link in the description and we can work together on making that reality for you as soon as possible. Besides that, I hope all this has helped you. Go and watch this video so you can keep learning, and I'll see you later.